What are you eating?
Ice cream?
Hold on. No, hold on. You're eating ice cream?
Did you just finish eating ramen? Like, you popped into the Skype call to go, hold on, I'm finishing eating ramen, and then popped back out, and you came back with ice cream.
Ramen's too messy to eat at the desk.
But here's Ben with a bowl of ice cream.
Ramen is literal liquid.
What is ice cream?
Ice cream is half liquid.
It's not like water. It's viscous. I could control it.
What do you mean it's viscous? What kind of ice cream are you eating? What'd you do to that ice cream? Why is it viscous?
That's not ice cream.
It doesn't flow like water. It's.
I just black screen quotations. When ice cream melts, it doesn't flow like water. Thank you, Ben. Thank you for that.
Hello and welcome to Star Wars Every Week Forever, the podcast in which we watch one Star Wars movie every week forever. This week, that Force has awakened. And then I went back to sleep.
You started that off like it was like a gospel preaching. Like, the Force awakens. Oh.
And if you give this mega church all of your money, you will awaken too.
It's Minch at the fucking pulpit.
I can't do Minch. I can't do Minch at the pulpit. That is not a voice I'm capable of.
Yoda swinging one of those incense things, but like a much smaller version, so it looks far funnier. It's just tiny. It's just little tiny wisps of smoke.
Ben, how was your watch?
It's okay. It was Star Wars Force Awakens.
That it was.
I fell asleep twice watching this movie this week.
Do you have a TV in your room now?
Nah.
So you fell asleep on the couch?
Yeah.
You have been in your own apartment for a few days and you have already become old man on his couch.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't take long.
Straight up we gotta sit here for more than like an hour and a half. I'm falling asleep at some point.
Yeah, but you have a roommate. You're not living on your own. You're not living with a partner. You have a roommate.
We take turns crashing out on the couch.
Chris, how was your watch?
Oh, it was fine. My day job, we've had, it's been a lot of hours and a lot of stuff crammed into short weeks, but long hours, if that makes sense. So I had like 3 days off in a row this week. I'm on day 2, and yesterday I was like, I'm going to watch The Force Awakens. And then I didn't. And then today, I'm going to watch The Force Awakens. And then I was like, oh no, Shang-Chi is on Disney Plus. I'm going to watch Shang-Chi again instead. And I did that. And I watched Force Awakens, and it was a bad movie. It's just a bad movie.
My watch was The Force Awakens. Actually, I accidentally clicked on Twitter rather than my Google Drive for my notes just now, and I have breaking news.
Oh?
Breaking news 6 weeks in the past.
It's the news I'm thinking. It's not that breaking.
Oh, it's from 3 hours ago.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So it's nearly breaking.
Nearly breaking 6 weeks ago.
Nearly breaking 6 weeks ago, but it's very breaking for us right now. So 6 weeks in the past, breaking news 3 hours ago for us is a sentence I just said. Natasha Liu Bordizzo has been cast as Sabine Wren for the Ahsoka Tano series. Sabine.
Of all the things that you were like, I don't want to mispronounce this.
I haven't watched Rebels.
No,
yes,
that's
it's
great.
exciting.
I freaking love Sabine.
Live action Sabine cast, which is nice. It's very exciting. Give me that fucking Ezra casting, you sons of bitches, and make it Raul Coley.
When does the Ahsoka show take place? Because wouldn't they have to cast younger? I don't know. I don't know the age range.
Nah,
Oh.
because that's gonna take place
It's gonna
probably
be at
after
least-
Mandalorian season 2. So
6 years later, then. Okay,
yeah,
that
6 or
makes
7
sense.
years after Empire.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Hold on.
It's likely gonna take place right after the finale of Rebels. Or, that little end stinger where you see them going off together in a ship.
I doubt that.
It would be super weird to me if one show ends with the two of them leaving together in a ship, and then another show with the two of them starts, and it doesn't pick up from that scene. That would just be
But
that would
also,
be
I think it'd be
WWE
weird
levels of
if
writing.
I think it'd be weird if they picked up on that in live action
Yeah.
after we got live action Ahsoka in Mandalorian.
I'm just spoiled of it enough to say that's definitely almost certainly not going to happen. Unless they do, like, they open the show with that scene going wrong, which I don't know
Well,
how
also
it would.
that scene wasn't necessarily supposed to be like they didn't give us a fixed time
No,
at
you're right.
which that scene started. So yes, I know.
I had to think about it.
They
It's been a
didn't-
while.
It was not a fixed point in time. Like they weren't specific of when that scene was. It looked like they were both at least a bit older at that point, which would fit when we're seeing Ahsoka
Okay.
here. You know what I mean?
Goddamn fucking.
Goddamn
What's his
fucking-
name?
Dave
What's his name?
Filoni, and
Dave
Dave Filoni
Filoni
knows shit. He knows what he's doing. He's got a plan.
He's got it planned decades ahead of time, always. Fucking, I'll never forget the way the Star Wars community reacted to him when the show first started. They acted like he was inserting a self-insert when they brought in Ahsoka. And, like, within 3 seasons, the entire vibe of the Star Wars community changed towards him. He went from being someone vilified to deified very, very quickly.
Because I think a lot of people rightly kind of, the way I've always read Dave Filoni is he's basically George Lucas if George Lucas knew how to tell a story correctly.
Yeah.
That's
Pretty
Dave
much.
Filoni.
Can we talk about Dave Filoni's cowboy hat for a minute?
Oh,
Because this
what's wrong with Dave Filoni's cowboy hat?
I don't know. I just don't understand why he walks around with a cowboy hat at all times.
Part of the character of Dave Filoni.
I would too.
It is the core character,
Ben,
character design of Dave Filoni.
Ben, I think it's very important that you know and understand that you totally can walk around in a cowboy hat, and I support this very much so.
If I weren't regularly covered in dirt for my day job,
Have to be
I
a nice
totally
cowboy.
would.
The beater cowboy hat. I know. Listen, I live in Nebraska now. People have different sets of cowboy hats like they do shoes.
I've seen.
It's like,
I was
nah,
on
this
a
is my. We're going mudding today. I need my my playtime cowboy hat, not my dress cowboy hat. When you.
I was on a job site once.
Sure,
And
Chad.
this guy was wearing a hard hat that was a cowboy hat.
There you go.
I
I
hate
getting
that.
one of
shit
those.
you not. It was the weirdest experience ever.
Great.
That kind of takes all the fun out of a cowboy hat.
Or does it add fun to a hard hat?
You know what? I didn't
Chris, you've
think
convinced
about
me.
it.
I'm
that
gonna
way.
buy the cowboy hard hat.
Thank you.
It's just impractical, though.
Listen, you need
Keeps
a
the
little
sun off
yeehaw
ya.
in your head protection.
It would be way easier for you to knock off your hard hat, which is the point of a hard hat, to not get it knocked off.
I mean, as someone who did wear a hard hat at one point for work, now it's really not avoiding the hat getting knocked off. It's more you're worried about stuff coming down, not so
Yeah.
much.
No,
Up or
I
sideways.
recognize that. I recognize that. What I'm saying is that you're protecting from things falling on you, so you don't want it accidentally getting knocked off because you want it on at all times. So this person adds a frill around it that if it gets tapped and you don't have it tight enough, it's gonna go.
There
Listen, you
are
sound like,
regular full brim hard
Yes,
hats.
I'm
though.
OSHA right now.
Listen, you sound like one of those people who, when riding a motorcycle, puts on like a big helmet and not just one of those small ones. You're sounding like a real defeatist right now.
I had a full rim hard hat before. Like they're a thing that regular people wear.
Western shop when I convinced Ben to come out here and visit, and we're just gonna get him all decked out.
Yeah, you should. Anyway, The Force Awakens.
Force Awakens. What the fuck are you eating now? The Force
He's eating
Awakens.
fries. I was gonna bitch about it a little bit ago, and I stopped.
They're
myself.
veggie straws.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's somehow weirder in this strange
Yeah.
combination meal you've put
Well,
together.
You're eating
My roommate
veggie
was
straws
like-
and ice cream.
No, I finished the ice cream.
Okay.
My roommate was like, "Do you want anything from the store?" And I was like, "If you could find some veggie chips," and she was like, "I got straws," and I'm like, "That's good enough."
This is a bad Star Wars movie.
All right, we need to explore this for quite a while now because this is the one that you have been like, yeah, I enjoy this movie
Oh,
every time we
it's-
get to it.
And I should clarify, I still enjoy this movie. This movie is a bad movie now because of everything that follows. Because this movie does nothing but like make me think, oh, this could have been cool. Oh, this could have been cool. Oh, I see. They could have been setting something interesting up here. And then, no, all bad, all terrible.
That's like the episode 7 and 8 in a nutshell. It's like set up with no reward.
Ain't in that same category anymore.
And
I'm
now
having
Hold on.
it's just no setup or reward.
No, I'm having a change of opinion on how I feel in regards to the sequel trilogy. I think overall this is going to be a fun
no.
couple of episodes. I think I'm going to make a lot of people really angry next episode.
Well, you've had the same opinion from the start, and that's essentially been episode 8 is trash.
The episode 8 is trash opinion has evolved to somehow a harsher stance.
I can tell because every time we get to episode 8, that's the aura that you give off every time.
Like, it's we gotta talk about Force Awakens first.
Fuck it.
I
We talked about the prequels and the sequels more than we talked about Return of the Jedi last week. They expect this from us. Talk.
I had an epiphany while bitching about Star Wars the other night in regards to The Last Jedi, and I'm like, oh fuck, we bag on JJ a lot. JJ made a very good Star Wars movie in The Force Awakens. I enjoy The Force Awakens quite a bit. You could see there was some plan there. It was going to go, however it was going to go. Regardless of whether it was a good direction necessarily. And then,
this is all I'm going to say. The
Yeah.
one note that I made this entire watch was that although I loathe to compliment JJ on his directing style, the one thing he's very good at is introducing characters.
Yeah.
He's fantastic at it. The Rey sequence introduction is still the best thing, like the best introduction to a character in Star Wars. Granted, Star Wars is bad at introducing characters, but
this movie sets up every character very well.
yes.
You're rooting for Finn. Poe is basically what they always want Han Solo to be. He's the charming pilot who's actually a charming pilot and not just an asshole. And all the vague supporting characters surrounding all of them are not quite all that fleshed out, but like you got your 3 leads and they're fleshed out great. And here's Han Solo and he's a dirtbag again. That's what we all wanted. Kylo's okay, I guess. And then 8 comes along and Finn's over there now and we don't care about him anymore apparently as a franchise. Poe is kind of just an asshole now. Rey seemingly doesn't have much direction except whatever's going on with Kylo and this weird.
The entire movie is about Rey's direction.
Right.
Yeah.
but it's all wrapped up in the weird Kylo dynamic of like, well, these two are gonna maybe be evil together and like rule, but no, they're not.
Right, but that's Luke Skywalker's story as well.
And they also just, we've talked a lot about, how Rey being nobody is probably the best direction they could have taken with it. But also, no, I don't like it. I don't like it. I've decided I hate it. I'm back on the train of like, we're basically poorly adapting Jason and Jaina's story anyway. Fucking just make her Luke or Han and Leia's kid. I hate all of it. I hate this whole fucking trilogy. I'm too fucking sober for this episode. I'm just angry.
Go. If I feel something is particularly egregious, I will stop you, because we're never going to agree on that particular movie.
Last Jedi is beginning to feel like the movie that just needed to make everything like dark and hopeless and shitty and just fucking horrible, which then
Like
carried
Empire?
up Jedi. And then Last Jedi is just grim, dark Star Wars.
I get it. I do. But I always get confused when you make that particular point, because I get why you hate that movie. And it's not that I disagree, it's that I would prefer that to whatever the fuck happens here.
I'm gonna write out, like, I'm gonna really sit down one day and I'm gonna write up an Excel spreadsheet of every fucking point of horrible fucking decisions Ryan made in that movie. And I'm just gonna lay
It's a
it out.
lot.
Like, defend all of these. Just Twitter, excuse me, here, this.
No, we're not doing that. If you want to make out an Excel sheet, point it at us. We're
Oh, no,
not
I'm
going
not
to go
talking-
debate
No, I'm
Twitter.
not talking about, I'm not gonna actually throw it out on Twitter, but for whatever reason, every once in a while, I'll wake up on a Sunday morning and I see The Last Jedi trending. And I know it's gonna be a horrible fucking day. And I go into that fucking trending thing, and it's just people like, this is the best Star Wars movie ever made. It's the greatest cinematic masterpiece. Anyone who hates this movie is just, doesn't know what they're talking about. Like, okay. Like, you can say that it's a good movie, you can have the opinion, but like the people who really love this movie,
Cinematic masterpiece is an overstatement to a ridiculous extent.
Definitely an
I have never seen. No, that's not true. Fight.
Oh, it's fact. It's the best.
The people who
Fight Club?
Hold
Yeah,
on, I'm talking
Fight
about
Club.
fan base. Hold on. Let me finish the thought. But yes, you're going to agree with me.
No, I agree with you.
The people who defend this movie, the way people defend this movie is the same way people who think Fight Club is the best movie ever made defend Fight Club.
Right. Yeah, 100%.
Where, well, no, you're just too stupid if you don't think that's the case. You just didn't get it.
Yeah.
Of course this is the best movie, and you're fucking wrong if you think that it's not. Like, that's the way it...
I want to be very, very clear. I'm not trying to step on Chris's point, because I feel like I step on Chris's point when this comes up way too much. I kind of like The Last Jedi. And it's not as bad as, but it is, when this comes up, similar to Fight Club and Joker.
But, like, it's gotten to a point where, like, even talking about that, like, because I said that to, I think it was my wife I was talking to about this, like, where I was like, no, I like Last Jedi as a movie alone, whatever. And then I sat there and I was like, okay, well, hold on.
Are you just saying that to say that?
I break this movie down, just clinically. If I break this movie down into pieces, what do I like about it? What about this movie? What bit of this movie do I like? If I break it down bit by bit, what part of this movie do I like? Because I lay them all out there. I'm like, well, fucking, there's Leia floating in space. We can throw that away. Fucking, well, we've made Finn a secondary character and basically written him out of the movie, but we had to put him in the movie somewhere because he has a contract, but he's over there. Poe, he's lost all of his brain cells. He's just he's making terrible decisions. The story of the movie is that Poe is a moron, apparently, and can't get out of his own fucking way. I mean, and so we've ruined Poe. It's like, get the fuck out of here. That's out of here too.
I feel like Ben's about to make the point I'm gonna make, so
I do feel like Poe's character isn't super mischaracterized. It definitely is to an extent, but like
I find it hard to say that Poe's character is mischaracterized because I agree with all your points about The Force Awakens. Poe's character is not set up in this movie. He's just introduced as
Hello,
a guy without
I am
a character.
Pilot Man.
Yes, I am Pilot Man. Hello, I am Pilot Man. I am kind of cocky. That is it. Like, Poe's character is established in the next movie because they didn't think that Poe was going to be in the rest of this movie. And there's nothing wrong with that.
That almost makes it worse to me because it's like you had, I guess, then a blank slate, and this is what Ryan chose for Poe's personality and character.
Poe's character in Last Jedi, and Ben, I feel like you're going to make the same point. You can jump off this and tell me I'm full of shit in a second if you feel like it. Poe's character in Last Jedi is essentially an old-ish guy trying to tell a story about patience, and missing the point that the patience that he is asking in is in a system that doesn't work. That's my problem with Poe. It's not, I don't feel like they just threw Poe aside. I feel like they gave him a lot of time to shine, but the plot around that shine is real bad.
I was more going for, I feel like they got close to nailing a good Poe.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing with Poe is questioning authority, and his thing is like, I'm gonna do what I think is right no matter what, and it's basically him learning like, oh, maybe sometimes I'm not the best person in the room to be doing that stuff, but also then the movie kind of makes the mistake of, hey, authority's great.
I think I figured it out. The way Poe's character is written in The Last Jedi is like the punk band that you loved when they were in their early 20s, writing in their early 40s. That's what that is.
Ouch.
It's too close to home.
Ouch.
That's what it is. It's essentially a 43-year-old trying to tell a 23-year-old that they should calm down because things might work out, and they haven't worked out, so why would you say that?
But yes, that's why I no longer enjoy The Force Awakens, because now it's just
Because
it's
The
just
Last Jedi.
because it's just the promise of what could have been. Calm before the storm, as I like to call it now.
Yeah. I kind of still sit in the same place of The Force Awakens is a fine movie. I think a lot of my problem with The Force Awakens is my complete distrust in J.J. Abrams, the storyteller, because I know he set up characters beautifully. I will always give him that credit. He made terrific characters, the most likable characters in the history of Star Wars. But I never had faith in J.J. at all, ever, once, in finishing a story, ever, because he can't do it. He's incapable of finishing a story. He can't write the end of a story.
He wasn't supposed to finish the story.
No, I get that.
That's the thing. It's like the way this was set up, and I mean, it brings us back to an old podcast talking point of clearly these three just never had a conversation in the process of these movies being made. There was never a single conversation between the three of these motherfuckers that were supposed to be making these movies.
Yeah.
Because they are, even if you look at Trevorrow's script, which you can easily do online now, again, it's a very different movie. It was going to be three very different movies.
I was about to ask the question, is this the rotation where we finally read the Trevorrow script and then sit down and talk about it?
It might be.
Yeah, I think it might be time.
It might be time.
Even if one of us doesn't want to do it, if two of us sits down and read it, I think it might be time.
I don't know. Last I checked, I don't know if the whole script is out there, but there's a decent amount of it.
Yeah, like we know a lot.
There's at the very least a synopsis of it, because I've seen the synopsis.
So yeah, based on this conversation, it might just be time. It might be time to make that our episode 9. Because I think if I know more about that, I'll be more mad about the direction of Last Jedi, or less. I don't know which will happen, but I imagine it'll be more.
I almost wonder what the process was, if it was really just like Trevorrow was getting like notes of like, hey, just a heads up, you're not gonna have Luke for this movie. And that was basically it. Like fucking bullet points of like major plot shit that goes on, and then is told nothing else of the direction.
I know this. When JJ was finished with the script, Ryan got the script. Because Ryan's entire point, and who knows how many times that changed, because JJ's famous for changing the script multiple times over when he's making a script. But the famous thing that Ryan always went with was, I was faced with the information that Luke just kind of fucked off when the galaxy needed him because he was sad, so I'm just going to go in that direction. I'm not saying he was begrudging of it, I'm just saying he grabbed onto that almost way too much. But I also know that Ryan was already working on the last, and this comes back to a point that Ben hates, because Ben hates this kind of talk. But it goes back to an old sequel trilogy problem point, which is The Last Jedi was already being made when The Force Awakens wasn't out yet.
Yep.
Yeah, I want more than anything for someone to like actually have I know it's fucking untouchable territory now if you're like a media journalist or whatever. You're not allowed to shit on The Last Jedi, apparently, is what the fucking thing is now. I want someone to fucking be brave enough to just straight up ask Rian Johnson, like, look, what was your reasoning for, after reading this script and seeing what the clear setup with Finn was? Oh, he's fighting Kylo with a lightsaber. Oh, there's some hints he might be force sensitive. Rian Johnson, please tell me what your motivation was for looking at that, reading that, and then going, all right, yeah, I know exactly what I'm going to do with this character. I'm going to send him off on an unimportant fucking side mission. I'm going to drop all the Jedi stuff. I'm going to fucking completely fucking yeet that off a cliff.
If I had to guess, which is only my guess, I think he thought Finn was Han Solo. Finn was not Han Solo. Finn was Leia. Finn was the Jedi to be. Finn was not Han fucking Solo.
It's really depressing. I like this movie a lot. Every fucking time I sit down and watch this movie, I'm reminded, like, oh no, I really like this movie. And I remember sitting in the fucking theater watching this movie after being like apprehensive going into it, like not sure how I was gonna feel, and watching this movie and being like, oh shit, this feels like Star Wars. This is cool. This is nice. And I never had that feeling again watching a Star Wars movie.
That's true. That's true.
I literally never left a theater after. No, that's not true. Rogue One. Rogue One is
Yeah,
never mind.
That was the last time I was happy.
That's
I don't even know why Rogue One felt like that either. I don't even know why Rogue One felt like that either, because that was quintessentially not a Star Wars movie until the last 5 minutes. Like,
yeah, it's possible to leave after watching Vader just fucking Terminator his way through a hallway without being so happy.
Also, I do think we kind of drool over Rogue One a bit more than it deserves, because we don't watch it every.
I ain't breaking the gimmick. It's the best Star Wars movie. I ain't breaking the gimmick.
I just watched it
again.
a month ago.
I will point out that Chris's penultimate Star Wars was Star Wars Episode 2.
I think it's fair, because we have watched these movies 8 times each, and we all kind of agree, no matter what, that Solo is dog shit. And we don't watch that. I've watched that movie once, ever.
Watched it again recently.
We all have a negative opinion at the very least, even if it's not.
Oh, I have a negative opinion because that's not fucking Han Solo. That's an imposter.
It's Lando Calrissian, but it's not Han Solo.
Yeah, 100%.
So like the standing of we don't watch this movie every week, so we have a better opinion of it, I don't think stands in that context. But to completely contradict my point, I do think we romanticize other canon more because we're so sick of this shit.
I don't even think about other canon anymore.
I was gonna say, I don't think Jay.
My dad brought up Mara Jade the other day, and I just got sad.
Well, I mean, EU and everything else. I don't think about Star Wars unless I have to. And that's more often than not because of editing days. But I also have usually about 3 to 6 hours to think about it a week more than the rest of the gang. So I think I romanticize shit a little bit more. But I do find there is the thing that I hate, which is romanticizing something beyond what it's probably worth, happens with old EU stuff with me.
We're ending the hangover rotation with just anger and bitterness.
Nah, I'm excited for what's on the horizon.
What's on the horizon, Ben?
Well, for us, about 6 weeks in the past, the holiday special is fast approaching.
I'm not excited.
I am hyped.
I've been putting off something in regards to that special for a long time because I'm afraid of it.
So excited.
Yeah, I don't. I'm
That's
not
gonna
excited.
suit dry cleans.
I was not excited the first time. I'm not excited now. Also, you watched that episode last week, so the episode's already out. We're on the last week of 2021 right now.
Oh,
So
yeah.
6 weeks in the
I thought
past.
you
audience is
said
just-
like we
No.
watched the holiday special.
No, the
last
audience
week. I'm
watched it.
like, fucking
We
did.
haven't recorded it.
Recorded it.
The everyone in this movie refers to Finn as FN 21887, except one random Imperial officer who refers to him as FN 2187. Except
Yeah, when he's
just
telling
that one
Kylo that
guy.
they escaped.
It's just that one fucking guy, and it gave me Han energy.
Han energy.
Leah and Hane energy.
He's just like the Imperial who's constantly getting in trouble for not being like in proper dress code and shit. Like he's just like he's that guy.
He's that one Imperial officer who got in trouble for making up people's names when they were trying to register for the military.
Oh, he's the one that named him Han Solo.
There's gotta be like a meeting a little bit after that where it's like, all right, Jeremy, listen. You can't keep just putting random names into the system. You can't just be like, you shall be Solo, and then type it into your terminal and think that's okay. Like, we work for a government, dude.
Jerry, you know how many solos there are out there now because you thought it was fucking funny? Jerry, listen, putting you on fucking, you're here now. And he sees Finn, he's like, yeah, there's that fucking, it's fucking 21 whatever fuck, that's what the FN
Jerry,
stands for, right? It's just F fucking.
Jeremy, we've received an HR complaint because 2 people officially just asked to marry under the name Solo, respectively, because you gave them the fake false identity of Solo each, and now they're going to marry, and we can't tell if we should stop the marriage because it might be incest or not,
They will,
because you decided it would be funny if you named everybody Solo.
Union will make them duo. Prophecy has been fulfilled. Jerry ascends to godhood. It's this eldritch pact. Found a book. Like, yeah, I was in a cave one day. I found a bunch of weird books. A couple of them were like Jedi books. I left those for some other asshole.
I put them in a tree for a while,
Yeah,
We are just obsessed with making random stormtroopers and Imperial officers with regular ass names.
It's like, so obviously most of we're all D&D nerds. And
Yeah, I think it's been made clear.
One of the last sessions of my campaign that we played, they were in a castle, and they were trying to like congregate all these guards, and it kept being like, well, what's this guy's name? What's that guy's name? I'm like, I don't know, fucking Steve,
It's me.
Derek, Bill, I don't fucking know. And then Bill went on a rampage at one point.
Bill became a main character.
I choose to believe that's the genesis of this bit for me.
Look how much we're stressing Ben out. He's over here smoking a veggie straw. Ben's like, I'm supposed to be quitting. Fuck.
I wanna talk about what were you gonna say, Ben?
I say it's been a day.
Are you now? See, nobody actually smoke. Very few people actually smoke with their hands like this. That's a myth.
I've seen plenty of
the New York, just
the New York. Yeah, it's exactly that. It's like you're holding a roach clip.
Knuckling it, just
in the podcast trend of Ben doing visual gags on an audio show.
We do too many visual gags. I will say that. The thing that I laugh at our jokes because I think you two are genuinely super duper funny.
At least someone.
The only thing that I'm embarrassed by is the amount of attention that we put into the Skype backgrounds without ever explaining what they are.
We have been saying the whole time the podcast has been happening that we are only doing this to make each other laugh, all right?
Yeah,
that's the
true.
goal of all this, is to make each other and like the 20 people that listen to this show laugh.
So I want to reflect on something that we've brought up before, but not for a very long period of time.
Left hanging like 3 rotations ago.
Harrison Ford in this movie is good. He's motivated, and a motivated Harrison Ford is very good.
The end.
Very good at running down hallways.
I only gotta do this one more time. Fuck, hell yeah.
Where Harrison Ford is clearly not motivated in this movie is during the Rathtar scene.
Running down hallways.
That dude goes from a very emotional scene on the Millennium Falcon that he does a great job in to not knowing what inflection is for about 8 minutes.
You know, when they're shooting those, he's like, when he's running in the hallways under his breath, he's just going, God damn it, JJ, I'm too old for this.
He doesn't know what tone is, with the exception of raising his voice just slightly. The entire Rathtar scene. It is delivered in the most bland, let's get this shit over with way humanly possible. And I think that's how everybody feels about the Rathtar scene, because everybody's just kind of like, why is this here? I don't understand why this...
It's one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Because, as I've said, it's something straight out of Farscape, and it just warms my heart.
It's because the only reason why that scene is in the movie is because J.J. Abrams wanted to make an Indiana Jones reference.
Listen, I love this scene because it's straight out of Farscape, seriously. All I can think about every time it comes on. It's great.
That doesn't mean it's good.
The weird space pirates show up and you're just there the whole time like,
hold on, I have to sacrifice my cowboy hat Google search to check on Farscape.
We've brought up Farscape before. It was a really niche...
I know, I still know nothing about it.
It's a really niche sci-fi show.
Regards to this scene.
Chris and I watched it, and probably like 5 other people.
Oh my god.
Sci-Fi Network canceled it. My father's never watched the Sci-Fi Network again. I talked about this on the podcast.
Yeah.
Wait, I think I know of this show.
Everybody knows of the show. Very few people watch the show, except me and Chris and Chris's dad. And I think Zen's, friend of the show Zen's. So The Force Awakens is a movie.
Yes, it is.
The Force Awakens.
You got it.
Rathtar scene. The best scene in the movie.
The best scene.
I mean, everybody took a hard turn away from...
Hold on. I want to talk about, not the Rathtar scene, but the prelude to the Rathtar scene.
The Requiem for a Rathtar scene?
So Finn and Rey, they escape They're on the Falcon. They're like, hey, we did the thing, and Finn. They start getting sucked into the Han Solo ship that we don't know is the Han Solo ship.
I'm having last rotation flashbacks.
And fucking Finn's climbing up on the thing to get a look at it. And him, who has spent his whole life with the First Order on First Order ships, goes, oh no, this is definitely a First Order ship, when it very clearly is not.
Yeah, it really clearly isn't. Like, it's just, it's another shitty ship that Han Solo found somewhere. Like, it's like, you know, he lost his Cutlass Sierra and he picked up, like, one of those,
He picked up
the
a
fuck
van.
are they?
No.
Like, just one of
No.
those,
Like a
I don't
mom
remember.
Stop!
van.
I'm stopping you.
It's just one of those, not like the classic van you're used to seeing. What the hell's I don't remember the name of it. It's like the one that's got that.
It's a 2003 Honda Odyssey.
The 1997 Saturn.
But so much older. It's one of those vans. Got like the fucking window on the back that pops out like a fucking shitty bus window. It just like fans out.
Listen, I have one of those vehicles currently.
That's what him and Chewbacca are driving around in. They've got like, you know, got like a cage full of weird chickens they picked up in Nashua, and they're gonna sell them at the animal auction next week. You know,
The market.
yeah.
You cannot convince me that. I think without the Falcon, which he stole, it must be pushed
He did?
that
He won it.
he cheated.
So did Lando.
Can we just talk about how that's a scene we don't focus on enough? Like Jay brought
Well,
that
because
up.
we don't watch it.
What was the scene?
I mean, but that's
no,
what
not
happened
not
in old
Solo,
canon
not Solo.
too.
This scene in particular.
Oh.
Like Jay brought up a scene. The minutes, you know, after Luke turned off the targeting computer, that was like Jay's. How have we not talked about this? Is mine. How have we not talked about the moments before the ship is brought on where Han and Chewie look out into space and it's like, is that the Falcon?
Chewie, you're not gonna believe this.
Chewie, look at that shit. It's the Falcon. What? Hold on.
I was thinking about that this watch. I was thinking, how did they find the Falcon, first of all? And what was the drive up to the Falcon? Because it actually came off another one of my points. I had a realization this watch that we never get like just straight up Han and Chewie scenes for more than 20 seconds. Unless it's Chewie and Empire yelling down at Han. We never...
the holiday.
Yeah, well, the holiday special is the holiday special, Chris. I don't want to think about it.
It's a work of art.
You wouldn't want to think about it.
I just realized we probably have people listening for the first time this week because the holiday special went out, because everybody gets really excited for the holiday special. I'm so sorry.
I do
I'm
too.
so sorry.
Oh man, can you imagine coming into this episode fresh off the holiday special?
People did last time, and
Like a
they did
wet
not
fart.
stay. They did not stay.
I wonder why. I wonder why we
don't
can't
blame
retain
them.
an audience.
I don't blame them.
We can't retain a new
I'm
audience.
happy
I
for
wonder
them.
why.
I
What's the
applaud them.
fucking obscure ass jokes that make no sense to anyone but us.
Whenever we do like a one-shot episode, we jump up like 4 times the amount
like-
that we usually do, which is like 110 people. But
It's like the public subconscious just goes, oh yeah, they exist, and then we just fade back into obscurity.
Like when we got 800 views on a TikTok, like 12
Yeah.
hours of
What?
shit my pants.
What the fuck?
Did you not see that when I was freaking out about that in Discord? Like,
yeah,
No.
it was me not being able to read something.
Was that today?
No,
oh, that was like weeks ago.
2
It was-
weeks ago. Yeah.
We got like 800
I must
views
have
on a
missed
fucking
that.
TikTok.
I remember.
Check
I
out-
remember we were freaking out because we hit like 50 the one day.
Jay trying to read the fucking AO3 tag. Oh shit, my fucking pants! I looked at TikTok. I was like, that's got to be That's got to be a glitch of some sort. And I checked out.
I
No,
wasn't-
it's going up.
I wasn't surprised because I was like, that sounds like my luck. That is the most viewed thing in the history of this podcast, and it's me not being able to read a sentence.
That's really funny, actually, to think about.
So I wasn't surprised. I was more like, that tracks, yeah. Anyway, I do want to see what the scene with Han Solo and Chewie when they're like, why the fuck is the Falcon all of a sudden showing up on our radar is? Because I want to know how did they find the fucking Falcon? I want to know that. Because they lost it for so goddamn long.
Well, they said they picked it up on scanners, and like, who knows how long it was sitting on Jakku?
Right,
I imagine
but like
it's got
it
its
clearly was in the atmosphere doing laps around Jakku because what's his name? What's his butts? The guy that did
What?
Simon Pegg, is that his name?
Oh, yeah.
Simon Pegg.
I always forget that was Simon Pegg.
Yeah, it's Simon
Yeah.
Pegg.
He loved doing it, but he was like, that suit was the most dreadful
He
thing
almost
I've ever
passed
had to
out.
wear. Yeah.
He almost passed out. We talked about this on the podcast, but he almost passed out. Like, he was having heat stroke. But anyway, Simon Pegg is like, that's my ship, and it's very clear that he's been like using that thing as a prize. So it's very clearly been off the ground, if not out of the Jakku atmosphere for a while.
I don't know, because like, if he's holding it as a prize, he wouldn't want to like take it out and like fuck it up. You know what I mean?
You and I are not the same person.
Nah. He's like he's the one dad from Ferris Bueller's Day Off where he has the really fancy car in his garage.
Yeah, okay,
And he just lets it sit there and rubs it with a diaper.
Can we make a movie that's just Rey stealing the Millennium Falcon for a Ferris Bueller's Day Off style thing on Jakku and has to fly the Falcon backwards around the atmosphere to get the mileage off?
Can we talk about how much better of a movie this could have been if like they hadn't decided that we weren't allowed to have any fun with the Star Wars franchise anymore, and like we had actually gotten the original cast back together at some point in this movie, like together, and then done the Rathtar scene? Can you imagine like the original trilogy characters in the Rathtar scene, like dealing with that? That would be hilarious.
We don't even get the main OT cast together at all in this trilogy.
On Luke and Leia in the fucking hallways, like just like when we were stuck in the goddamn suit. Get in the fucking like.
This so doesn't bother me, but I've always been an outlier on this particular point. Like, I already felt nostalgia enough out by the way these movies were advertised. I never really was interested in. Like, the moment that we had these characters, I was like, no, I'm interested in them. The rest of the old cast can fuck off. I want to know about them. But that's me. I'm clearly in the minority on that.
No, but like, see, if they wanted to do B-plot so bad, you could have had the, original trilogy characters together doing something, It's like the EU. I loved the parts of the EU where we got to see, Jaina doing whatever she was doing, and, Jason with her Tenelkai, Lobaka, whatever, like whoever happened to be with
trying to corrupt a bunch of bugs, and
meanwhile
Jaina's trying to decide if she likes the future husband or not that she very clearly never gets along with.
Like, listen, these are the new protagonists, but also I like seeing what Han, Luke, and Leia are doing over there on their continuing adventures. Like it would have been nice to see that one more time. And
I get that. I think you're gonna get that. I guess you can't. Now that I think about it, you're right. But I think they're gonna try to do a little bit of that in the Disney Plus shows in a small manner, and I think it'll just have to be Luke. But hey, I'm never gonna get to say this anywhere else, but fuck Jagged Fell. I hate that guy. Jagged Fell was a bad character and a bad guy, and I hate him.
That came out of nowhere. That took.
We were talking about Jada, and I'm like, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
That guy's a douche. Yeah. I just realized I'm never going to get the chance to say it anywhere else, so fuck Jagged Fell.
No, that's totally fair.
Man, my thing is, like, we could have had that, but it would have been a thing that was way cooler if George wasn't like, let me do 3 movies where I humanize the bad guy from the original trilogy. He could have been like, let me do the continuing adventures of the original trilogy, folks. Like,
no, but he loved Anakin Skywalker so much.
So I thought about this week. So
We did a lot more thinking this week.
We sure do think about Star Wars a lot outside of the
Luke
podcast.
Skywalker.
People who
Wait,
don't want to
Luke's-
think about Star Wars.
So Luke
We don't
Skywalker.
think about Star Wars, but this week we did.
So Luke Skywalker is George's write-in character for himself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Palpatine's administration is supposed to be an allegory for Bush, right? So following this logic, George Lucas thinks his father was in league with George Bush, and that he's the chosen one to redeem his father.
Do you want me to get weird with this? Because I have a theory.
You could get super weird with this, and I'm here for it. Audience, buckle the fuck up.
You know how I talked, I don't know if it was a half hour ago or what, about how I feel like Poe's story was written by a punk band in their 40s versus what they actually sang in their 20s? I feel like Anakin Skywalker is George Lucas, the capitalist, struggling with the modern world, but as the dad. That's what I feel like. That's what I feel like that is. I think it's George Lucas battling his hippie nature versus his capitalistic nature. That's what I see Anakin as.
Good.
That's how I see it.
good.
Yo, why don't we talk about this shit more than whatever the fuck we talk about most weeks? Most weeks we show up for the podcast completely unprepared, like, I don't know what to say. And yet we have all of these, like, back thoughts that are happening at all times and we never bring them up.
Because, so, like, what I gotta do is I gotta start keeping a notepad on me like I used to. Because I have these ideas pop into my head, and by the time we sit down to record, they've, like, faded
That's why I
into the
keep notes.
recesses of my memory. And I used to
So
always
I-
have a notepad on me because I used to do a lot of, like, I used to write, just for myself mostly, but I used to write, like, stories and shit. And it's just like that. I'd have an idea pop into my head. If I didn't write it down right away,
That's fine.
I wouldn't remember it.
Yeah, that's
And
why I
I'd
still
keep
keep the
everything
notes.
up here forever until I start to lose my fucking mind.
I used to be like that, and then I tried to run a D&D campaign, and slowly my mind just stopped existing to where I can't remember, like, anything
I
else.
was the lore keeper of your D&D campaign.
She was.
That's how I handle most things.
I think Zin's is the lore keeper of yours, kind of, maybe. I don't know.
Yep.
Vince knows all of my lore better than I do.
That's fair.
At this point, for everything, it's incredible.
I don't understand what happened this week. It is such a different tone than what we've shown up the rest of this hangover rotation with. Ben,
No,
what are you
because
doing?
You can see what's happening because it's us. Well, no, it's me. It's me specifically getting fired up about something and then getting halfway up and realizing I don't want to fucking talk about this. I don't fucking care enough. I don't care enough to fucking argue about The Last Jedi anymore.
Yeah, no, I feel that a little bit too. There's occasions where I'm like, is this the hard stance that I really want to make?
I am at the point, if I can get really honest and really depressing for a moment, I am at a point with Star Wars where, no, I'm at a point with the movies, the 9 movies, where if we weren't doing this podcast, I probably wouldn't ever watch them again or think about them, and I would just watch The Mandalorian and Boba Fett and Bad Batch and all the other stuff because
It's better.
it's better.
I feel like there is an alternate timeline where, like, somewhere around this point in the podcast, we just phone it in. We hang up our microphones
Alternate
and
timeline.
we're done. And then,
Phoning
like,
it in rotations
like-
now, buddy.
then, like, years later, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna put Star Wars on. It'll be real nostalgic, and I'll just put it on and just, like, immediately back to disassociative episode, and I'm be like, yeah, no, that's what I expected.
To go real behind the scenes, we almost quit this podcast at one point. It came real close.
That was
And it was
early, too.
early on.
That was, like, not even second rotation, I want to say.
I think we were ending the second rotation.
It wasn't, all the shit we bitched. There were outside factors, but there was
But I remember
was a-
Jay being like, well, we
Yeah,
can't
this
do
might be
this.
good.
And I'm like, but why not? And she's like, we obviously can. I'm like, yeah, but what if we did anyway?
I do often worry about this monster that I've unleashed on my friends. That is a legitimate worry that I have.
And we say it every time.
Did
and
you
there are-
just do the cowabunga dude
Yeah.
motion to me saying I'm worried about that I've upset my friends by making a Forever Star Wars podcast? Did you just... Okay. This was a
Ben's just
mistake. This
dabbing
show
on
was
the
a
pod now. Listen, we say it every time, and we say it every time when the people in our lives raise legitimate concerns about this podcast.
Very
Like,
legitimate.
Listen, we don't enjoy watching the movies anymore. That's clear. Even if we enjoy the movies, we don't enjoy the process of having to watch them every week anymore.
Right.
But it makes it worth it when we sit down here and we
Yeah.
just do bits and make each other laugh.
Yeah.
And if we
Ben,
can
which-
entertain at least 2 or 3 other people at the same time, sure.
Listen, we got 5 fans now, which that's more than doubling our core audience. Ben, do you agree with any of this? Because I feel like you've been in a particularly rough spot.
I can't.
You've been in a funk this whole rotation.
been in a funk for the past 24 years.
Iced.
No, I'm like I feel like I'm coming around to Skippy dopamine fueled Ben. I am talking with pure sleep deprivation in my brain right now.
Astounds me sometimes straight at this podcast.
Yeah.
There is another timeline where I was currently knee deep in a coffee. And that's gonna happen one day, dear listeners.
The one that Ben goes off the deep end with. Like, it's
And-
like, I'm gonna fall off the wagon. I'm gonna be out in Dunkin' Donuts just drinking coffee like a fucking lunatic.
I forget if I brought this up before, but I don't drink coffee on the regular.
Oh, it's been brought up because I scolded you about ginger beer when we were talking.
No, but like I've
It's
had
literally
4 coffees in my entire lifetime.
the intro to the episode that came out this week in 6 weeks ago
Okay.
time. Was you talking about drinking coffee?
Yeah.
But like one day,
And porn
one
entries.
day,
Porn and trees, the Lorax.
it's just gonna be like, Ben, how was your watch? Oh, how was my watch, Jay? Well, I'll tell you all about it. I'm just gonna be like fucking on another planet.
We
And off
need
we go.
this next rotation. I got 2 episodes to figure out a fucking bit for next rotation or something, because we can't do these fucking dry runs. It's always the rotation coming off of a themed rotation that are just
That's why I don't want to do anything like that next rotation. Because it's always that, like, oh, we don't have anything to rely on that makes it tough. And then I feel like today, this was not rough. We had a pretty coherent conversation for most of the podcast, unlike what we've been doing.
See, I don't know that's one of why do we always get weirdly introspective in the sequel trilogy?
So we don't want to talk about the movies.
I feel like it's like this podcast goes one of 2 ways. Either we are completely fucking on a tangent of something that makes very little sense, or we are talking about the topic of the movie that we're on and we're really sad. We're really unhappy about it the whole time.
Listen, it's either depression or absolute mania.
The underlying comment of this show is like, it's at its best when we're doing stand-up comedy about the movies. All the other times, oh boy, is it experimental. The point I'm trying to make is, like, this podcast, we won't admit it's random and, like, just off the walls about whatever the fuck we'll talk about that week. I will say it's experimental in order to avoid saying it's just whatever the fuck we talked about that week. Because, like, that's what the show is. Our show is just whatever the fuck we talk about that week and desperately trying to make sure it has something to do with Star Wars. Because that's my bar. The only bar that I have when we go into an episode is like, let's try to talk about Star Wars in some way for at least half the episode.
I mean, to be fair, as
We do.
weird and off the fucking wall as we are, we're mostly talking about Star Wars.
Yeah.
It might not be the movie we watched this week, but we're mostly talking about Star Wars. This podcast is three people talking about Star Wars in ways that nobody has ever thought about Star Wars, and nobody should have ever thought about Star Wars.
The best thing that we do on this show, the best content I feel we put out is when we're just fucking off stand-up fucking improv comedy off of a scene that's super weird. That's the best thing we do.
We're asking the real questions that nobody ever should have asked.
Yeah.
Like, what was Rian Johnson's motivation for totally just shit? You know what? Never mind. I'm not going to talk about Last Jedi. We have to talk about Last Jedi next week.
Old questions like, was he a children?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
was he a children? And what did the baby say?
That's the thing. Like, no, everybody's asked why the fuck. Like, anybody that is semi-aware that was fucked up has asked, what the fuck happened with Finn? Nobody has gone onto a podcast before us and said, God, I wonder what that whole dinner scene was like. Nobody's gone on a podcast and been like, I wonder what Vader is like day to day when he's depressed.
Well,
I wonder how
think that, and they wrote a whole comic series about it.
I wonder how bad the entire collective rebellion was shitting their pants when a farmhand was gonna blow up the Death Laser.
I wonder what an episode of NTV Cribs with Sheev Palpatine would be like. These are the questions. These are the hard-hitting questions we ask.
Yeah, this podcast is the most absurd. It's the three of us trying to one-up each other, I think, on the most absurd things we could possibly, like the most absurd take we could have on Star Wars that week.
We're theater kids taking Star Wars out back and shooting it in the head. I think that's what we're doing.
We are. We're both trying to murder Star Wars and performance art as a whole, is what this
specifically for us. We are the theater kids that show up and do the same overacted version of the show every week. The same exact performance that is overacted. Taking Star Wars out back and trying to murder it specifically for us. Except Ben, who I feel bad. I feel like he was the only one going into this that wasn't like, I'd really like to kill off the nostalgia factor of Star Wars for myself.
This podcast is just the scene, and I think I've made this comparison before, but this podcast is just the scene from Office Spaces where they take the printer or whatever it was out to the yard and hit it with baseball bats and kick it. You see, this podcast is just that scene, but Star Wars.
Not a person who like wins like contests or wins things, but like I'm not like, yeah, but I can say I would bet good money that I am the only person on this planet who has ever made a Burning Hammer reference in regards to Star Wars. And that makes me happy, knowing that I'm probably the only person who has ever done that. And I'm just like, yeah, no, I got that. That's my thing. Put that out into the internet, and that lives there forever.
Chris guides people to the podcast and goes, this is where I keep my Burning Hammer reference.
This is where I keep my Burning Hammer reference. I would like you to get up on my shoulders right now because I'm going to drop you right on your fucking dime bag.
The Burning Hammer. Well, let me show you.
Let me show you. There's a reason why it's only been performed by that one guy that invented it about 7 times. It's gonna hurt, and you're gonna regret it. And that's what this podcast is. It is a burning hammer to our mental psyches.
That's our tagline. It's gonna hurt, and you're gonna regret it.
Love how any time that we have ever pitched, whether it's on the show or to each other in private, like a tagline for the show, just like an undercard, it's never something that sells the show. It's always a deterrent.
It's always just like, you will be miserable. Have fun.
Yeah. Like,
This has been deterrence every week forever. Somehow our beloved fan base are going to watch next week. And we apologize. Love you all. Ben's giving a heart sign right now. Good
Okay, I went
night.
full cult there for a second. We said I love you all in unison.
We love you. We love you. We love you.
Like the robotic anytime someone says Disney Plus and we all in monotone unison, Disney Plus.
Best
$7.99.
$7.99 in the business.
If you enjoyed that episode, why not like and subscribe? Also, share it with a couple friends. Bring them into this hellscape that we've done to ourselves. You can catch brand new episodes every single Wednesday on Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, pretty much every other platform you get your podcasts on. If you'd like to extend the suffering, you can catch us over on twitter.com at SWEWF. We post direct links to brand new episodes every week as soon as we upload them, and you can catch the occasional other dumb Star Wars take, and who wouldn't want that? Catch you guys later.